Um, I guess the good part of having bipolar, if there's any benefit to being bipolar out of the other diagnosis, which is schizophrenia, the good thing about bipolar is sometimes you really feel on top of the world and you can do things that seem like impossible tasks and just go through them. And I think that bipolar, like the mania, sometimes is a is different than what people think. It might not be a switch, you know, depression by depression mania. I think the mania can last like a long time and you feel really on top of the world and you do things faster and more efficient than you thought you could do. And then the depression comes and you feel the lowest on earth, the lowest amount of having accomplishments and having goals met. Like, obviously, when you get older, you're supposed to have a clean room all the time. And, like, I don't know where that comes in. Like, you know, like, it just gets to a point where some days I get so depressed that I let things stack up and I let things get out of control, messily, or whatever. Things get messy. But then I'm like, you know, I guess when it gets, the mania comes and then you start cleaning really fast and you start making all these goals, and but then the depression comes back and you can't meet those goals. But what I was gonna say was the happy part of bipolar is the best part, because most of the time when I worked a job, you know, when I had the mania, like I could do things super fast and unpaceable. Like nobody could keep up with me. I was so fast. But I was also doing the exact number and goal that it was, or doing beyond, because of the mania. So that was the benefit of having bipolar. The benefit was the mania, because the mania was sometimes fun. You know, it was like a challenge. You challenge yourself, and the mania kind of like backs you up in the sense that you're doing things efficiently and fastly, or if fastly is a word. But I was just sitting there like, you know, what I used to do was I used to work and stock the shelves with clothes, and or the racks with clothes. So when I got mania, or if I wasn't in between depression and mania, I noticed that I was going super fast, but also correctly. And if I made mistakes, it was very minor. Because, like, the bipolar mania, I feel like, was like a tool to help me be better at work. Because I feel like in bipolar, you're constantly evaluating perfection. And that can work against itself sometimes, but the fact that you're working for perfection was the thing that made you appealing. The only part that didn't include in the bipolar out of the mania was the depression, the part where you're not on top of the world. And in any sense, you're not on top of the world. And sorry, I have a runny nose. The depression was like, okay, first you were doing good, and then you were on top of the world, and you were meeting those goals that were set by your employer, and then the depression came and you'd be bawling and losing control because you didn't know how strong the depression was going to come, and you didn't know what time it was going to come. It was always unpredictable, and everything in bipolar is set off by triggers. And sometimes the triggers are self triggers. You put yourself in this position by listening to sad songs, by thinking the world is over because you feel like you've let yourself down or let others down, But the best part of bipolar that nobody knows about unless they have bipolar is when you can do things super fast and super perfect and you feel accomplished. So if anything, that the benefit of having bipolar, if you could just control the depression, then you would be able to be useful the most. Be the most useful that you could be, as if you could just keep that depression at bay. If you could just keep it at bay, then you'd be able to handle your mental illness. But sometimes it's hard. But the good thing is that I think it makes you humbler as a person to realize that you're not fully in your brain. You're not fully sick, but you're not fully well. Because bipolar is like you feel better, but you feel below. It's so hard to tell you how often I am dancing and then I am crying. So, I mean, I mean, only people with mental illness can tell you that there are days you are so productive and so full of ideas, and there are days where you just lay in bed and you sit there and cry on your pillow. And it's not just a female thing. I believe that men can have the same problem. Bipolar wasn't designed for women. It was designed for a bunch of people. It's not just women. It's not just men. It's both. Both people can be bipolar. Anybody can be schizophrenic. Anybody can be have anxiety. Anybody can be depressed, and anybody can get bipolar. And it's not gender specified. It's not gender specified. It happens to everyone, even the people that think that they may never get that, but that they can. And you know, they know how to end this video. I guess the main part of this video that I wanted to bring attention was the mania. And the mania, sometimes it feels like you are 100. Sometimes it feels like you just could do anything you set your mind to. And I don't know if people without bipolar disorder can ever feel this feeling. Excuse me. I don't know if they can feel the feeling of being able to be correct and productive and spend so much time just working on so many levels of self-healing. But the bad part of depression, the bad part of bipolar is always the depression. Because it's like, if you make one mistake in your mania, you end up making a mistake that leads to a trigger, which leads to depression. But again, the mania can be a very productive and helpful tool for you to be able to use it for the benefit of making the world a better place. All right, bye.